Welcome back to the Xbox One playtest video. Today I'll be talking about different feats and spells that were shown off in the Expert Classes playtest. Just like before, in this video I mostly expect that you guys have read the playtest and know the existing rules as well. Welcome to Pack Tactics, where casters reign supreme. The first part I'll be talking about of the playtest basically includes three parts: feats, fighting styles, and epic boons. Feats, as described in the last playtest, are something you get through your background, and this UA shows that you can also get them at other levels through your career. The same as you can currently if you use the optional rule that allows feats. One big change is there is no longer a choice between an ASI and a feat. What? Kobold! They removed ASI? What the heck? No, calm down. They just made it into a feat, that's all. It is literally the same as before, but it is now just called the Ability Score Improvement Feats. Whew! On the one hand, it's a good choice to make feats be part of the basic game, but on the other, they did nothing to make ability score improvements more competitive to feats. Currently, there's an issue, if you want to call it that way, that feats are just far and away a lot better than picking ASI. Tabletop Builds actually has an article on this called More Min the Max: ASI versus feats, where they explain why feats are so much better. And the thing is, in the interview with Crawford about the design decisions regarding feats, he explained that they actually buffed the feats by making most of them half feats, just to make them more competitive to ASIs. That just shows a very big misunderstanding about how feats and ASIs currently match up. I guess they did change some martial feats, which might make ASIs more competitive, but I'll get into that later. Fighting styles are actually also feats, but it seems that martial classes get at least one as part of being a martial. This is okay, or at least I think it's okay. I'm not sure. I'll explain epic boons next. They're basically the same as in 5e. They are something you get once you get to level 20 instead of getting additional levels, though you can also choose other feats if you want to, which is honestly a valid choice in a lot of circumstances. A lot of these epic feats are not very epic, except for the concept and name. They are also super similar to the epic boons we already have. Some might say that is boring, and I 100% agree. Okay, we're at the feats now. The feats itself. Before we dive into the negative stuff, let's talk about all the positive things. I like that they changed some lackluster feats like Mage Slayer, Shield Master, Keen Mind, and Heavy Armor Master. Don't get me wrong though, I still don't like them, but I do appreciate parts of what they are changing. The negative stuff. I want to start with Charge first. As written, the Charge attack works with ranged weapons, and you can walk backwards using it. I don't actually think that's intended. I think this is just a mistake they made. And now for the big thing all of you've been waiting for, the martial problem. I think they've made a very, very big mistake. I know many people in the 5e community are of the opinion that feats like Crossbow Expert, Polar Master, Sharpshooter, and Great Weapon Master are unhealthy for the game. And I agree with that. However, there's a big part where I disagree with the community members. The feats don't make other weapons unusable. It makes the weapons that work with those feats usable. Martials without those feats are actually really, really bad. It's not that something like Sharpshooter and Crossbow Expert makes a fighter overpowered. Maybe relative to someone without them, yes. And that is why the feats are unhealthy for the game. But that doesn't mean you can just remove them from the game. There needs to be something that buffs martials in return. It's too much for this video to explain exactly why martials are so bad without feats, but some of it includes control is oppressive, and martials have close to no control. Casters outdo martials in both AoE damage and single target damage, without those mandatory feats. Marshals, unlike casters, have almost no ways to solve problems outside of damage. If you want to know more, an upcoming YouTuber called A Hero actually did a video on the reasons why marshals are awful. It doesn't really go into a lot of depth, but it's more than what I've provided here for now. A long time ago, I was going to make a rogue suck video, but I never did that. And then later on, I thought, oh, maybe I should just make a marshal suck video. And I decided against that too, because I really don't want to shit on classes. People play these classes. People have fun with these classes. They get upset when you talk shit about them. But sadly, if this continues, if they don't get boosted, I'm going to have to make those videos. And I'm going to be viewed as the bad guy. They desperately need these boosts. That brings me back to the playtest. The powerful combination of doing more attacks and more damage per attack was gutted. Hand crossbows can still shoot an extra time due to the changes of the light weapon property and weapon juggling. Polearm Master still gives you an additional attack, but power attack is just gone. If you don't know what I mean by that, make sure to check out my video on the current version of Sharpshooter and Great Weapon Master. This by itself is a massive nerf to the damage output of marshals, which was basically the only thing we could rely on before. But that's not all. They made all the feats gated so that you can only take them from level 4 and upwards. This, together with nerfs to the feats like Polearm Master not working with a shield anymore, and Sentinel and Polearm Master not working together, is a really heavy blow to marshals. I am on some heavy copium that the spells are nerfed by a lot, and that weapons are buffed by a lot. But the changes to marshals that were shown in this UA do not make me hopeful. I'll probably talk about that in the next video. So currently we have pretty massive nerfs to marshals, but who knows, maybe they nerfed the caster feats too. Let's see. Kobold, they buffed them. So the big thing here is lightly armored. They didn't want to make this a level 1 feat originally, but they did. And the reasoning for it is wild. And at the same time, it's actually really scary. Crawford said that armor dipping was too punishing. Yes, the armor dipping was too punishing in that it delays spell progression. But the benefit is insane. No way was it too punishing. Now, together with free feats for everyone at level 1, any class has the ability to wear medium armor and shield right from the get-go. Now, they might not have the money right away, but this is a massive buff to casters. That's not all. They also made Warcaster a half feat. Oh. This is so typical of Wizards of the Coast. In almost every single UA or like a new book that comes out, for some odd reason, they want to boost casters. Meanwhile, the marshals are crying in the corner, especially in this case. They need to make sure that armored casters don't reign supreme in 1 D&D, because they are just so much more durable than marshals. I hope you guys give feedback about that. And if you aren't convinced, make sure to read the Squishy Caster article by Tabletop Builds. Casters being squishy has been debunked now so many times throughout so many years. I just do not understand why people still think casters are squishy. Like, where is that coming from? There are a few more feats, but nothing too interesting. So let me finish off with the spells that were changed. First, there are spells where only the spell school changed. I'd say that there are a couple of categories here. First off is spells that seem to have changed so that bards could still pick them up, even if the school no longer makes sense. I could see a small theme of earth, noise, sound spells becoming transmutation. I have no idea why. That is also why Earthquake is in this list. It is not actually a spell spell bards can get. Then there's the healing spells that all became abjuration. I guess they are protective, so that kind of fits. And then there's some miscellaneous ones that I would say make sense. Sending and telepathic became divination, which is in line with other communication spells. Contingency, which protects its user, became abjuration. Glibness is now enchantment. Reincarnate is now necromancy. And some remaining spells that create fire and deal damage have become evocation. Now for the spells that actually changed content-wise. Guidance and Barkskin. Barkskin now gives temporary hit points and is definitely a lot better than how it used to be. But if other second level spells remain unchanged, it is not something I would pick up. And to finish things off, Guidance. I know exactly why it has been changed the way it has. Guidance was already being used as a reaction to a roll happening at a lot of tables. And the internet has complained a lot about how the spell can be disruptive. But the thing is, limiting a cantrip to be used once per long rest on a target is such an unnecessary bookkeeping. I like this spell, and I do use this spell, but I would rather they just remove the spell, because without the limit, it just makes checks easier without much thoughts required. And with the limitation, you need people to write notes about who they cast the spell on, which is especially annoying if one in-game day spans multiple sessions. How my table solves the issue about the spell being disruptive is they add the bonus if it makes sense. I'm a very liberal DM, and I trust my players. Anyways, end of video. I hope I earned your subscription, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye!